Welcome to Intake. If you haven't already, why don't you hit the subscribe button and then the notification button so each time we drop an episode, you will be notified. It's time to shine the light from a mental health perspective. Welcome back to Beneath It All in the African American Community.
People in the Black community, we're known as great consumers. They love us. That's why they show us on all the cigarettes and the whiskeys and all the stuff we consume, the cell phones. But do we buy cell phone stocks? Do we buy stocks in the whiskey company and mutual fund? I mean, if you're going to use it, make some money off it. That's why to people. I look at stocks that I own. That's stuff I use because I'm watching this company because I know what I love this great whiskey, so I'm buying stocks in that whiskey company. I love this certain food, so I'm gonna buy And if you can't buy the stock, at least buying a mutual fund that invests in my company. So that's another way. If you can't buy the individual stocks, you can look at what the mutual fund spends the money on, and then buy into that mutual fund. And so now it gets a little complex. So you need advisors to help you over time. So if you do your homework and you learn that over time, the stock market may tank. You may lose a few nights sleep. You may have to take a shot of whiskey at some point, but it always goes back up over time. And if you're in it for the long haul, you'll see the dividends. It's not something you can say, I'm going to do it this year, and then Amazon is shut up to $1,000. No, those are the lucky ones. The Amazons and the Apple and those people are the lucky ones. Not everybody has that luck. The IBMs of the world. So, but if you start when you're young, and the thing is, it's out that the portfolio can be transferred. So when you change company, you just transfer it over. And so over time, you acquire wealth. And so when it's time to retire, besides the Social Security check that may not be there for me or you, we got some other money coming from another location. If you work for the public sector, it's even better because they have guaranteed pension funds, that kind of stuff. So I always tell the young people, I said, look, I know you want to buy the fancy cars and buy the Nikes and the fancy clothes, but if you just put away a couple $100 a month, over 15, 20 years, that's real money. You're talking about, $400,000 or $500,000 that go over time. That's real money. And you can sleep at night when it's time, if you get in an accident, you get sick, whatever. You don't have to see, you got money. I mean, yes, you have to go diversify the stocks and bonds, but you got money. Whereby, a lot of people in the community don't think like that. They just want to be consumers. And so it's okay to be a consumer, but you got to think about savings, whether it's having cash or having stocks and bonds in an account that over time you can use to do things. The law allows you to pull some of that money out to be a first-time home buyer. So hopefully you've done your homework. You can put some money into a house and then pay it back. So having those abilities to have financial instruments in your name at an early age allows you to do it. When you hit age 40, 45, you can do a lot of things a lot of people can't because you've been doing the right thing for 15, 20 years. So.
Very nice. Dr. Emerson, looks like you have to go. Thank you so much for being on the show. If you all don't mind, I want to finish a conversation with you all. But Dr. Emerson, I thank you for being on the show, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you, Doc.
All right.
Okay. So I love the conversation that we're having. Of course, I could stay here forever, but if there was something, do you have any more questions?
I guess it's part question, part comment.
Mm-hmm.
Again, understanding these complex factors really has nothing to do with general intelligence or advanced education unless this is your focus. So it's not part of, in the African American community, in my Caribbean household, my family was also from Jamaica. It was a discussion about home ownership, but the mechanics of it weren't discussed. Now, day to day at work, in school when I was growing up, this is not the conversation. So how do we make, because this is about access to information. I just gave direction to a very brilliant young man who owned 25% of a home that's in foreclosure, and was completely surprised when he received the documentation from the courts. Did not know which way to go, how to start. So it's not about being intelligent or unintelligent. It's really about having access to information and knowing where to get the information and to sifting through it. So how do we begin to have these conversations early enough so that the community grows accustomed to speaking, thinking, and operating in this fashion, so that our children, will begin to understand this and begin to say, I need to begin thinking this way. And how do I begin thinking this way? I have a daughter who just graduated college, and I can guarantee you this is not her line of thinking. The only thing that she has from me prodding her that she understands is that, wow, if I, took a job today, given what it's probable for me to make, even with a degree, I could not afford rent. I could not afford to rent. So what am I going to do? And I just heard one of her girlfriends, who has been working, in and out of college, say, I'm moving to Georgia. Why? Because I cannot afford to live independently in New York. I can't do it. So it makes sense for me to go there. At least I'll be able to, get an apartment or live with family while I save, and then I'll be able to have enough down payment, at least to purchase something for my own within the next 3 years. So I'm beginning to see somewhere in around the 20s, folks are beginning to think about, wow, I really can't do this on my own, but it's from experience. It's from the rejection of the ability to do it that is alerting them. So how do we begin to have these conversations if people who have gone and had advanced degrees don't really understand it? How do we help folks who have not had the opportunity to go to college, who do not have advanced degrees, begin to even sift through a lot of this? I know there's a lot of community programs, but I will tell you, a lot of folks don't know those programs exist.
I agree with you, and you're absolutely correct. It's not a formal education that gets you to know this stuff. I mean, it may help you understand some of the terminology easier and faster, but at the end of the day, so many people who made money in real estate don't have any formal education. They learn how to use the instruments properly and time the market right and made tons of money. So it has nothing to do with that college degree. I'm glad she's learning at age 20, because she will know a lot when it's 35. She'll know how to do it much better than some of us did at that age. I would start pushing back on all the community organizations, the local NAACP, the churches, the CDCs, to get information out to our young people. When I'm having those community conversations and teen conversations, talking about the value of creating wealth. That's what it is at the end of the day. It's how do you create wealth for yourself and your community. And so that has nothing to do with college. It has nothing to do with getting a job. It's what do you do with the money when you get it, and how you have that money flow over time,
right?
And the value of money over time. And those are those ongoing conversations. It's not a one-time conversation, because I had to learn when I moved to this country. I had to learn how things work in this country, why they're called certain things, who does what. And so, being here and now learning all this stuff, it's a wealth of information, and it's hard to swallow it with one bite. So you got to, over time, just take pieces at a time and talk to people. And so the value of also bringing people in the community who have those expertise, who look like us, is also helpful. So people understand there's people like us doing it right and doing it well. And so that's why it's great to be involved with the school systems to make sure that happens, because sometimes it takes one light bulb to go on for a child to understand, hey, I got to do some more work on that. And today with the internet, I mean, just go to the right places, you can find stuff. And so it's out there too. But of course, it's also good to have somebody who understands it, help you break it down and tell you, well, because it says this, don't mean exactly that's the way it's done. You may want to think about this too. So community conversations, family conversations, friends and family. And I think we need to plant the seed early in the middle schools. And so they can start learning the value of money and how things are done. And then I think over time, have those type of at the family table or events, you talk about those things, and hopefully it will caught on over time. Because yeah, the person got to want to learn it, not when it's time to at 25 or 30. You have to kind of want to know why things work a certain way. Why are people making money off real estate? And on how do I get into that business? Well, for the most part, real estate, you after high school, you take the exam. If you do well, you can do well. I mean, when the market is right, you can do well. So, and like I said, a lot of people who made money in real estate have no college degree. They are good, have got a good sales persona, charismatic, and then made millions of dollars. So they'll learn the instruments over time, and the company will teach you how to do that over time. But I think you got to turn the light bulb on really, really early in middle school and get them curious about certain things. But money, when it's time to do the chores, let's talk about how money is made and why I got to go to work. So.
I think that's key too, understanding money. Now that's a whole nother topic, understanding money, because I was just watching a documentary and it showed that with all of the communities, in the African American community, we hold on to our dollar a whole lot less than others, like about a good 6 minutes. While other communities, their dollar circles in their community. We don't hold on to our dollars much. I read a post on Facebook that says, if Black people are so poor, why are there so many Asian hair stores in our community? And that's because we don't understand the concept of money. We're spending it in the wrong places.
America loves us. We're the best consumers. America loves us. And the people, we're the best consumers. And that's why I say, look at what we're spending our money on, because you want to invest in stocks and bonds. Look at what our people are buying. We are all the companies love Black America because we consume more than most.
Yeah.
Correct. And, I agree. Middle school, teaching kids. And it really is as simple as teaching folks the power of delaying gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it begins.
Yes. I love it.
A lot to do with self-discipline and some personal choices you have to make in life over time, and that involves, besides money, a whole lot of other things. But and that's having some good moral structure, hopefully in home, and hopefully you learn some at school too. But again, I said I don't underestimate the value of bringing Black American in the schools from different occupations and people who are doing well. We can talk about what they did and how they got there. I think sometimes life stories are the best because some kids may not have that life story in their lives, whether at home or otherwise. So when we can bring people from a great cross section, from the plumber to the doctor to the guy in the military or the lady who's a nurse or whatever, so they understand that people made choices along the way, and you can do well by any of these choices, or even joining the union, learn the trades. I mean, those are very valuable skills that you have for life. And I know a number of people who join the trades young, spend 5 years in and thought, I don't like this anymore. So then when they got their business license, so now they own their own plumbing companies, they own their own electrical companies. They'll learn from some of the best people in the trade. It was systematic. They got the licensure, and now you can't touch them. And so again, so there's different ways to do this. And I think for me, one of the things I like to do is expose the kids at an early age of the possibilities. Because one thing I've learned, college is not for everybody. Mm-hmm. And though there's a stigma in the Black community about being pushed into certain occupation because that's what they used to do. If you're Black, you can't go to college, you got to be a porter. I understand the history of that. So we got to be careful with not doing that. But I think we also got to understand that people have different levels of abilities. And so how do we make them shine what they do best?
All right, so I'm not going to hold you all long because this is so interesting to me. And like I said, I could go on forever because I think it's great information. I know it's great information. It's great information that we need within our communities of color, period. Because it helps us break the conditioning, for one, because that's what we're dealing with, conditioning. Yes, Gina, you're right. We have to delay the gratification. Too many people get that income tax check, and the first thing they want to do is, instead of putting it in some stocks, they want to just go on a shopping spree. Or let's have a crab boil. It's real. It's real.
Good.
But it's true. No,
yeah.
what you're saying is very true. But what was very key is that the information came out later that you have to pay that money back.
Yeah.
That was the shocker.
People.
Right, because my daughter was disappointed that she did not receive a check, and it was because she said, you claimed me, and because of that I don't get a check. And I said, but you still live comfortably, so you're fine. Then she later said, actually, it's probably good that I did not, because I would have to pay it back, Mom. Did you know that? Because she said, I know you're not getting one, but that's good because now you don't have to pay it back, but people have to. And I said, that's horrible, because people needed it, they relied on it, and now they have to prepare to pay taxes on it, and they have to prepare to pay this money back. So nothing really is for free.
Never.
And you really need to understand when you're given something, understand the genesis of it, understand it so that you're prepared for it. And that it doesn't, you don't go out spending it and now you have to take from what you expected in the next year. You have less of it now because it's going toward, repayment of funds that were advanced to you in the year during a pandemic.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people sometimes jump on free money or free something. It's like, I will read the fine print, because it's something they want from you and why they're doing this. And so if you can meet those obligations, go for it. But short of that, it's not free. And sometimes it may not be paid back in cash. It may be a time obligation or, certain occupations that you have to join or do something for, but it's not free. Those days are over. So.
Yeah, definitely. At least put the money somewhere where you can gain some interest off of it. I'm just saying. Like, go put it somewhere you can gain some interest, get something from it, and then pay it back. Yeah, because you already have it still sitting somewhere. Definitely. If there is a last remark that you could leave with our viewers, what would that be?
I think I would ask people to just become aware of the economics of America. How things are done. If you're looking to improve yourself in this country, it's more than just following a formal process. There's a lot of informal education, so to speak. And so whenever you plan on doing something, you do all the right things. You go to college, you get the good grades and all that. But end of the day, learn from people around you. There are some people around you who have done some great things, whatever race they are, whatever religion they are. Ask questions. And, you'll find yourself in a much better position when you start doing that. And because there's so much information out there that it doesn't have to be the internet or through a book. It's having those informal conversations with people who are in that line of work, and you'll be surprised at what they can show you, or they can tell you that's not in the book, or nobody taught you. And so because they've been doing it, they know how to do things in a way that's more favorable towards you, and you can do it better over time. And so to me, that's true economic development, where you can improve yourself first, and then you can improve the community. Because, you really can't help others unless you can help yourself. And, the whole idea of physician heal thyself also relates to economic development.
Love it. Gina, any last remarks?
Sure. Don't become intimidated. Don't allow yourself to be intimidated by the information. Don't get easily overwhelmed. Get help. Understand it can be complex. You do have the ability to understand it, regardless of how much time it takes to understand it. Utilize your community, but do not talk yourself out of it before you get started. It's really important to know that you can command this, you can understand it, you can take control of your life. And just don't believe the lies that we're conditioned to believe, or that the community or society tells you. You can master this.
Yeah, this is definitely what the show is about. Unlearning to relearn, to improve our overall health, our overall well-being. So listen, that's it for today. But until we meet again, continue to talk about mental health and how to make yours a priority. Have a great one. Thank
you.
If you're a professional who would like to be on the show, or an individual who has struggled with mental health and would like to be a guest, email us at info@intake.tv.
Follow us on all of our social media platforms.
Intake Talk Show, making mental health a priority by changing the way the world views it. To learn more about Intake or one of our guests, visit our website at intake.tv.